Are you a slave to your mind? Are you someone who's filled with negative thoughts, who maybe not even aware of what they think, who's maybe avoidant of being in solitude and being in silence? You know, the phrase goes, I'm afraid with what happens when I'm alone. You're a slave to your mind. You are a victim to your own mind. And you may not realize it, but all these negative thoughts, these thoughts that you perceive as truth, they hold you back. They cause you to overthink. They cause anxiety. They go as far as to even cause depression, right? And spiritually, it's because you're not whole. You're not moving in truth and sincerity. You may be wondering, like, what? What does that even mean? Yeah, you may have different type of spirits on you, demons on you, fear, envy, pride, an inflated ego, etc. And the overthinking mind will make you a victim to yourself. It'll take away everything from you, your energy, your desires, and it'll cause you to spiral and you'll just be a victim of your own mind all the time. So what is the root problem to this? What is what is the, you know, what's at its root of an overthinking mind? The truth is, you're a control freak. You're a control freak. You're a perfectionist. You're probably someone who needs everything in a certain type of way and you need it to come out a certain type of way. And that mindset is not a set boundary, it's not a set standard of excellence, as I like to call it, a standard of excellence. You are also someone who gets attached to an outcome and you let this outcome define who you are, right? Let's say you want to be a great basketball player and you fail. You don't get to the NBA. You don't get to college ball. You don't get to overseas basketball. This one outcome you have now let define who you are. This one accomplishment. And this causes you to spiral. This causes you to lose your identity because you rooted yourself in something in the external, in the carnal, in the flesh, in the 3D world. The overthinking mind is always going to have you trying to be perfect, to never fail, to not want to fail obsessively. So, how do we get over it? How do we get over overthinking? Honestly, step one is to have awareness of your thoughts. What do you think to a day to day basis? You know, like at one point in my life, I would only think about what I didn't have, how to get there, and how do I overcome so I could get the things that I wanted in my life. And I didn't realize that, the Most High will hold these things back from you because you're putting your spirit into it, which is a blessing. You're putting who you are into that accomplishment, and He's going to hold it back so it doesn't destroy you. And it's a blessing. Now, some people I'd say are even cursed because they get everything they want. They put their identity, their spirit into the accomplishment, and when they lose it, they lose everything. Overthinking is also another aspect of fear, you know, like I said, putting your spirit into things. Awareness. Can you live without the things that you have? Or do you understand that because of who you are, you could get them back? If tomorrow your girlfriend, she left you, I'm not saying it's not all right to be, feel bad about it or sad, but would you say, I'm going to be all right? I'll be able to get up again and walk on my feet and go get another girlfriend if I want to. Or will you be like, ah, she was the love of my life. I'm never going to find anyone like her again. I'm never going to, I'm never going to be at this point again. It was perfect. If those are thoughts going into your head, you put your spirit into that relationship, which is what causes many to fall today. They put not I'm not saying don't put in 100%. I'm saying the way they frame it in their mind causes that thing to be rooted, causes that person to be rooted, root their spirit into something that could leave in an instant. All right. Let me sit up here. So that's awareness. Ask yourself those questions. What can I live without of? You should be able to say everything except the God, except the Most High God of the scriptures. Honestly. Honestly. Because everything in your life can be replaced. Everything. You know? And honestly, most people in your life could be replaced. And that's reality of it. Even we could be replaced. So that's something to keep in mind. Number two, detachment. If you're someone who's like me, very ambitious, they go after their goals. One problem that we will have is that we have a standard of excellence so great. We want to excel. We don't want to just win. We want to dominate. We do whatever it takes to get to our goals. But here's the thing. It's not about the skill you're going after. It's about who you become to wield the skill. That's the problem that a lot of us have that are going after our goals in our life. We've attached who we are to the outcome. You have to detach. Because ironically, whatever persists will resist. Whatever you resist will persist, excuse me. Whenever you want something so bad, like I said, the Most High will hold it from you because you're putting your spirit into it. It will destroy you. You're letting this thing define you, which causes the mind to overthink because you're so attached to the outcome. You're so attached to being perfect in that standard that it causes you to freeze. You're putting too much pressure on yourself. You're putting pressure in something that isn't guaranteed. And the way, the quote unquote universe works, and the reason I say universe and not the Most High in this aspect is because the Most High has set the universe to have certain rules where no matter if you're good or bad, you could succeed. That is reality. He reigns even on the good and on the wicked, right? The righteous and the wicked. If you work hard at anything and you align the right process and you're passionate about what you are, what you do, you will succeed without a doubt. You will see success without a doubt. But it's how you define your success as well. It's how you frame what success looks in your mind. Anything I personally set out to do, it's not about the end goal. It's not about the outcome. The outcome is just a culmination of who I had to become to get there. I reflect a lot on my fitness journey, and it's because it's who I've had to become to get to where I'm at. It's all the negative habits that I've had to get rid of. It's all the fast food that I've had to stop eating. It's all the places that I've had to cut out. It's all the research that I've had to done to make sure that I'm eating correctly. And now I live a life where the Most High has blessed me greatly to have a clear mind, to have a sound mind, to not be dealing with inflammation all the time. Because that was my reality. To not be fat. I was 230 pounds. I'm 5'9", 5'8", you know. This was my reality. This was my reality. And, you know, coming down to the weight that I am now, 170, it was the biggest blessing to see who I've become. Because in the beginning, I wanted to lose the weight so badly, just so I could feel better again. But I didn't feel better until I realized that I've had to work my ass off. I've had to work my ass off. And this premated, if I said it correctly, to every aspect of my life. It allowed me to carry a new level of discipline, diligence, to carry a new work ethic. I naturally became a harder worker. I naturally became uber disciplined to deny myself of food that I don't need, that makes me feel horrible, sugars that clog, you know, blind the mind. It's never about what you can accomplish. Many people talk about detachment. So how do we get the overthinking mind to detach? Because you want to achieve the greatness. It's a process. It's a process. But you have to reframe your mind. You have to reframe your perspectives. I would ask you, who will you become to get to where you want to? And once you get there, will you change? The answer should be no. The answer should be, once I get to where I get to, I'm not going to change, but it's going to be a culmination of all the work that I put in and the process that I now have, that I know how to get to said outcome. You know, to detach is to put all the power into God's hands. Is to understand that whatever path it is He has set out for you is going to be for the good, and live with that. And live with that. All you could do is pray and do your best. Do your best to find the best process that's going to get you to the desired result that you want. And you may be someone who you compensate by always working, always, you know, trying to move forward. And you take every moment, every second of your day to get to your goal, your main goal. I see a lot of college kids do this. And I'm not saying it's bad because they do have a lot of work, but they take no time for rest, which puts you in survival mode, whether you know it or not. Your mind will be in survival mode, and it will spiral, and it will spiral. It will spiral and spiral, spiral. So instead of operating out of a position of power, understanding that you actually trust yourself, intrinsically, you don't. You don't trust yourself, which is why you're always studying, which is why you're always working on homework, which is why you're always, you know, going after it. You don't trust yourself. Rather, like myself, I've had to learn this. I operate out of a position of power. I understand that there's no rush for any of these things, and that to have a balance between my work and my rest has been very vital for me, to allow my mind to decompress. And this allows me to come back with different ideas. In the gym, it might be just allowing my body a couple days to rest. And I'm not someone who like rest, 3-4 days every single month. No, this is probably like every 3 months, if that. You know, your heart's intention and the way you operate is always gonna either attract things to you, attract quote unquote, or make things run away from you. And that's just a reality. Once you realize I don't need this thing, I'm working towards this thing, I'm putting in the work, and I trust God that He'll align it, or He'll show me the way, because He will show you if you pay attention. Then you'll be able to completely detach. And then that's when it will come. It's a test to see, do you need this thing to define you? Do you need these accomplishments to make you feel whole? Because they never won't. Because men are unsatisfied. We get to one place and then we need to get to another goal. So that tells you it's in our nature. It's in our nature to continue to conquer. Another thing with the overthinking mind, it could be, well, honestly, it roots down to fear. It roots down to fear. It roots down to lack. You want to be perfect because if you feel like if you're not perfect, you're not going to get to where you want or where you need to be. It comes down to putting too much pressure on yourself, which goes back to fear again. You're really someone who fears, and this causes the anxiety, causes you to freeze up. It causes the anxiety attacks. It causes you to seek control of things that you can't control. This then makes you a victim of your own mind. You know? So I would ask you, why do you put so much pressure on yourself to be perfect? Are you looking for validation from others? That's another thing. You could be trying to be perfect because you care too much about what other people think. I know I have. I know I've been frozen up to start conversations in cold approaches because other people are around, and it caused me to overthink or overthink what do I say when it's as simple as going up and saying hi. Overthinking always comes to fear. Always comes to fear. Trying to control something you can't control. You're a control freak. You're a perfectionist. Spiritually, you're a slave to fear. And you have to dig deep to find out why you're a slave to fear. Who are you trying to be perfect for? Don't say yourself, because if you're trying to be perfect for yourself, you would accept yourself. You would understand, I fuck up. I need rest some days. I need to give myself grace. But you're not. You're looking for validation. You're looking for things in the external world to validate you. You're looking for your accomplishments to validate you. You're looking for your your parents or your wife or your kids or whoever it is in your life to validate you. Why? Why? You're looking for something that is fleeting, and it's delusion. It's delusion. So to summarize the overthinking mind, you're a perfectionist. You're a control freak who needs to learn how to detach and give God all the power to say, hey, I can't do anything about the outcome. I could align the right process to get the specific outcome I want, but ultimately it's up to you. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not needing it because I'm still who I am without this thing. Go after the things that are higher, the spiritual aspects, the spiritual attributes, discipline, diligence, joy, peace, love, etc. The overthinking mind. A slave to fear is what you become with the overthinking mind. Someone who's extremely anxious. Truly, it's a spiritual issue rooted in fear because you allow your accomplishments to define who you are.